Hari Om, let us start. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo, Maheshwara, Guru Sakshal, Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri, Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri, Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri, Gurave Namaha. सिन्दूरारुणविग्रहां त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौलीस्फुर तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीमाबीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्यामलिपूर्णरत्नदशकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीं सौम्यां रत्नगणस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकां ध्यायेत् पद्मासनस्तां विकसितवदनां पद्मपत्राय दाक्षीं हेमाभां पीतवस्त्रां करकलितलसत् हेमपद्मां वराङ्गीं सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां सततमभयदां भक्तनम्रां भवानीं श्रीविद्यां शान्तमूर्तिं सकलसुरनुदां सर्वसम्पत्प्रदात्रीं सकुङ्कुमविलेपनामलिकचुम्बिकस्तूरिकां समन्ददिरेषणां ससरजावभाषाङ्कुशाम् अशेषजनमोहिनीं अरुणमाल्यभूषोज्ज्वलां जवाकुसुमवासुरां जपविदौ स्मरेदम्बिकाम् अरुणां करुणातरङ्गिताक्षीं धृतवाशाङ्कुशपुष्पबाणचापाम् अणिमादिविरावृतां मयूकैः अहमित्येव विभावये महेशीम्। ॐ पराशक्ते नमः। ॐ पराशक्ते नमः। ॐ पराशक्ते नमः। So today we are going from 796 till 815. So when we complete the up till 800 names, we would have completed Vishwakala, and we will start the next Kala, which is called as Bodhini. The next Kala, next 100 names, they called as Bodhini. 796. Om Kamaruvinyai Namaha. Om Kalanidhaye Namaha. Om Kavyakalaye Namaha. Om Rasajnaye Namaha. Om Rasashevadaye Namaha. Om Pushtaye Namaha. Om Puradanaye Namaha. Om Pujyaye Namaha. Om Pushkaraye Namaha. Om Pushkarekshanaye Namaha. Om Parasmai Jyotishe Namaha. Om Parasmai Damne Namaha. Om Paramanave Namaha. Om Paratparaye Namaha. Om Pashahastaye Namaha. Om Pashahantre Namaha. Om Paramantra Vibhedinye Namaha. Om Murtaye Namaha. Om Amurtaye Namaha. Om Anityadriptaye Namaha. So the first name is Om Kama Rupinyai Namaha. Om Kama Rupinyai Namaha. Kama. Kama is the god of love, and this name primarily refers to Devi who has a desirable form. She is Kama Rupini. The name is Kama Rupini. When it comes to the Lalitha Sahasranamam, it is Kama Rupinyai Namaha. So the further meanings can be that she has the form of Kameshwara, Lord Shiva, or that of Kama, which is the god of love. And Devi's will is also referred to as Kama. So from that perspective, she can assume any form. Kama Rupini. She can take up any form. That is also another interpretation of this name. What other aspects does Kama refer to? It refers to spiritual and material aspirations. Spiritual and material aspirations. So, Devi is the embodiment of desires and also the deity that gives them physical form by fulfilling their needs. So, this is the perspectives of this name, Om Kama Rupinyai Namaha. 797. Om Kala Nidhaye Namaha. The name is Kala Nidhihi. Kala Nidhihi. So, Kala is referring to arts or the art forms. Nidhi, she is the treasure house. So, the name literally translates into she who is the treasure house of all arts. If you remember, there are several names where she is considered, she is called as the Kalamala, So there she is referred to the person who is responsible for all 64 art forms. 64 art forms. And in that context, we also covered the fact that everybody on this planet has that concept of Kala inside them, which is Devi's Amsha. So, what this refers to is that there are riches of art hidden in Devi, just as the wealth contained in a treasure. So, if you have a treasure which is, something which is well beyond a measure, something that can be measured. So, from that perspective, she's the art forms that are there, that are stored in Devi, cannot be counted. So that is what this is referring to. Now, there are further meanings of Kala. Kala can mean prana. So, if Kala is prana and she is Kala Nidhihi, which means she is the foundation that sustains the body, and the breath of living beings. Because without prana, a human being cannot survive, or living beings cannot survive. All forms of life need this prana shakti. So she is Kala Nidhihi, means that all forms of life need this Kala, which is prana, and it is with this prana that forms the basis of what Devi is all about. That is how all forms of life are able to sustain on this planet. Now, further meanings of Kala. Kala Nidhi refers to the moon. So, the moon's disk, if you remember, there are the moon's disk, the sun's disk, all these are aspects of Devi. The moon's disk is a place where Devi dwells. So, individuals are sometimes called by the place they inhabit. They are called by the place they inhabit, or for that matter, even by the work that they do. Work that they do, which is the best example? The best example for work that they do is by referring to the Boris. If you look at the Bori community, you will have Bori community, they will be called Screwwala, or Paniwala. So all these things are referred by their by their occupation. So like that, people are known like that. Or for that matter, if you go to Kerala, and if you look at your house, so they are known by your house. So I am from Meprambat. So that means that I am not just Manoj, I am Manoj who is from Meprambat. Meprambat Manoj, that is my name. So you are known by the place they inhabit. Similarly, because she inhabits the moon, and Kalanidhi means the moon, therefore Devi is called Kalanidhi. So that is also another explanation given there. Now, Kala means the body, and Devi is the treasury that sustains that Kala also means brilliance. Devi is the abode of brilliance. What brilliance is this? This is cosmic radiance. All cosmic light, energy, and brilliance comes from Devi. So, this is the perspective of the name Kala Nidhihi. 798. Om Kavya Kalaye Namaha. Kavya Kala. So, this is referring to Kavya, which is the poetic work. So, she is the art of poetry, Kavya Kala. Now, any form of poetry is either something that can be heard or that which can be seen. So, Kavya can be described as a work that is fit to be heard and seen. So, Devi is the embodiment of such forms of poetry. Now, if you look at what Kalidasa is one of the greatest poets. Kalidasa is supposed to have attained this status as one of the greatest poets due to the grace from Devi. So then therefore, what else can we tell about Devi other than the fact that she is the abode of all those forms of poetry. Without Devi, that form of poetry could not have come from Kalidasa. Now, Kavya has another meaning also, which refers to Shukacharya. Shukacharya was the son of Bhrigu. Shukacharya, if you remember the Bhagavata Puranam, all that was written by Shukacharya. So, Shukacharya was the son of Bhrigu, and Bhrigu was called as Kavi. That was his name. And therefore, Shukacharya, being the son of Bhrigu, is also referred to as Kavya. The name Kala is referring to the Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya. The Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya, which is the ultimate mastery of life. It is a Vidya which is capable of bringing people back to life from death. The power to conquer death. Now, in this case, because of this particular perspective, the understanding can be that Devi is Kavya Kala, which is the embodiment of that particular power meditated on and practiced by Shukacharya. So Shukacharya practiced that particular Kala, which is called as Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya. Now, what is the philosophical perspective is that Devi is the ultimate master of life, death, and resurrection. So it is not just life and death, but resurrection also, because of the Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya, by which even a person who's dead can be brought back. Now, is it physical death that is being referred to? Maybe physical death also, but death refers to another perspective, which is spiritual death. Spiritual death. You know, people who are completely removed from the concept of spirituality, those people who are completely removed, who have no connection with spirituality, those people can be brought back into the path of spirituality by perspective of this Mrita Sanjeevani Vidya. So this is another perspective of this name, Kavya Kala. 799. Om Rasajnyaye Namaha. Om Rasajnyaye Namaha. So Ajna basically is referring to what it means is knower or appreciator. So she is the person who knows or appreciates all rasas. Yeah. So what is rasa? Rasa is there are the rasas which we know from a dance form, which is sentiment or emotion expressed in poetry. We call them the Navarasas. Navarasas are like Sringara, Karuna, Virya, Hasya, Raudra, Bhayanaka, Bibalsa, Adbhuta, and Shanta. These are the Navarasas. So all these Navarasas can be very easily expressed by Devi. Devi can very easily express. You can even for a minute close your eyes and picturize Devi demonstrating those Navarasas to all of us. Those beautiful Navarasas demonstrated in an art form. So she is Rasajna. Now there is a further perspective to that, which is Shruti or Vedas saying that he is Rasa itself. Brahman is Rasa, the very source of bliss. Devi is not distinct from Brahman. and Devi is the knower of the bliss of Brahmana. Devi is the same as Brahman. So therefore, Devi knows what Brahman can give in the form of bliss. Now, Rasa has got further perspective, which is taste or desire for something. So every living being has the greatest taste for life. And Devi is the basis of that taste. She is the foundation of that taste. Now, this is not just the taste for something, but is also the sense of taste. So, it is not just the taste or desire, but the sense of taste. What are the senses of taste? The senses of taste are sweet, sour, salty, pungent, astringent, and bitter. Devi knows all of these tastes as well. So, this is another perspective, which is Devi is Rasajna. 800, the last of the names of the Vishwakala, Rasashevadihi or Rasashevadaye Namaha. Rasashevadaye Namaha. So the name is Rasashevadihi. So she was the treasure house of Rasa. Shevadihi is referring to essence, juice, or that is the aspect of or the aesthetic aspect of rasa, the ultimate emotion. So rasa shevadi is it means that Devi is the treasure house of rasas. Now what is this rasa referring to? This is referring to the bliss of Brahman, which means that bliss is the ultimate goal of human life. Devi is the reservoir. She has maximum quantity of that bliss. And the Brahmanda Purana says that Rasa is the supreme Brahman, Rasa is the supreme path, Rasa is the giver of brightness to man, Rasa is the seed or the bija. He is verily Rasa. Having obtained Rasa, one becomes blissful. So this is the basic concept that is referred to in Brahmanda Purana regarding Rasa. There is a further perspective that Devi herself is Rasa, the source of bliss. Having obtained the source of bliss, man becomes blessed. So, blessing or becoming an elevated individual happens only when one obtains this concept or experiences this concept of bliss. So, this is actually well beyond the physical perspective. It talks of the spiritual perspective as well. Now, from a physical perspective, Rasa refers to the aesthetic arts. As far as the spiritual perspective is concerned, it is referring to the cosmic essence. So, these are the different ways of deciphering this name, Rasa Shevadihi. We are starting the next kala, which is called as Bodhini. So, the first one, 801, name is Om Pushtaye Namaha. Om Pushtaye Namaha. The name is Pushta. Pushta means she was full of vigor. She was extremely nourished. So, what is that nourishes Devi? Nourishment for Devi happens from the worship of devotees. When the devotees worship her, that is when she gets nourished completely. So, the Smriti talks of this particular perspective and says that the Brahman is nourished by Brahmanas. The Brahman is nourished by Brahmanas. Now, the Brahmanas referred to here is not the physical Brahmins. What is referred to as Brahmanas is those who are indulged in Brahman. Those people who are indulged in Brahman. One who belongs to Brahman or is established in Brahman is called as a Brahmana. The modern designation, as we have already covered before, is a caste-based separation for the caste of Brahmins. But the perspective in that also, as stated earlier, is that people become Brahmin. They are born as Shudras, but they become Brahmins by their karma and gunas and knowledge, which is the spiritual knowledge that is gained. That is when the Brahmins moved from becoming Shudras to actually Brahmins as well. So the way the people worship or the devotees worship is by several means of ritualistic worship. So those ritualistic worship is not actually, they say when Devi is offered, the Naivedyam, that when the Naivedyam is offered, it does not mean that Devi is actually physically consuming the Naivedyam. What she's consuming is, she's consuming the devotional exchange. There's a devotional exchange that is happening there, where Naivedyam is converted into spiritual energy. So that is what is happening at the time during the spiritual pujas. So the other question that comes up is that why is this pushti, why is this pushta needed? Why is this nourishment needed? Because Devi is supposed to be all encompassing, very strong, very big, parat, para, so many names, para, para. So all those aspects we have covered before. So then this does not mean that Brahman was weak and that the sages nourished it. That's not the meaning. While as and when there are more and more jnanis, more and more brahmanas, people who are established in Brahman, all those people come in. That is when the strength and the nourishment of Devi increases incrementally. That's what happens. That is what is meant by nourishment of Brahman. So the Devi is one who contains within her all the 36 tattvas and constantly enjoys the nectar of Brahman. And because of that, she is called Pushta, full of vigor and well nourished. So there are rituals, there are mantras, and the spiritual perspective is that the Brahmana engages in intense devotion and realizes the self, the emotional forces are heightened consciousness, and because of that, Devi is delighted. So this is the perspective as far as the name Pushta is concerned. All that is needed for the Devi to get nourished is complete singular devotion from each of her devotees. Now, there is obviously the case of getting established in Brahman. It doesn't need establishment in Brahman. Even at this stage, as small children of Devi, we sit down in divine prayer, and you can establish the fact that Devi is getting nourished by the intense prayer of each of her devotees. So that is also something that we should remember. 802. Om Puratanaye Namaha. Puratana basically means somebody who is ancient. She who is ancient. Now, if you remember, where was Devi? Devi was there before creation. Devi was there much before creation. Much before creation. She created cycles she was responsible for cycles of creation, and therefore because she was there before the start of creation, she is therefore definitely ancient. The entire universe arose from her, so therefore she precedes everything, and therefore she is called as Puratana. She is called as Puratana. 803. Om Pujyaye Namaha. She who is worthy of worship by all. Everybody is below her. Everybody is below her on this cosmic creation. Everybody is below her. All of them are attending to her. So Devi occupies a position. She is an exalted position. She is everybody's guru, and therefore she is worthy of worship in every possible way. In every possible way, Devi is worthy of worship by all forms of creation, including the Devas, including the Asuras, including the gods. 804. Om Pushkaraye Namaha. Om Pushkaraye Namaha. Pushkara has got several meanings. She who is complete. She who gives nourishment to all. There are several meanings. One of the meanings is that Pushkara is referring to a lotus in full bloom. A lotus in full bloom is also called as Pushkara. Now, what is the speciality of the lotus? Lotus is always pure, is untouched by the mud around it. So, like that, Devi is also Pushkara. She is extremely pure. She is untouched by all those around her. So there is a further meaning of Pushkara, which that she is supreme consciousness or the Sahasrara Chakra. That is also another name or another meaning of Pushkara. So Devi is also called as Pushkara because she is one of the meanings of Pushkara is sky. So like the sky, Devi is all pervading. She is untainted and formless. We have covered this in one of yesterday's names as well. She is all pervading, untainted and formless. So there is the essence of water which is contained in her, but she is the source of the life-giving power of water. Yeah. There is a deity at Pushkara Tirtha. That deity is called as Pushkar Devi. So that is the other perspective of the name Pushkara. 805. Om Pushkarekshanaye Namaha. Pushkarekshanaye Namaha. So Pushkarekshana, again we have this this perspective, which is the eyes. It's referring to Pushkara Ekshana, which basically is referring to Devi's eyes, which is in the form of a lotus. That is one of the perspectives, and the literal meaning is that she who has eyes like lotus petals. But there are further meanings. There is one story in the Padma Purana that the name Pushkara refers to planetary conjunction when the sun is in the constellation of Vishaka and the moon is in Kartika. When the sun is in Vishaka and the moon is in Kartika, that particular planetary conjunction is called Pushkara. So at that time there was antagonism between the sun and the moon. Happens when two people are close to each other. Obviously there will be several struggles. What is that? Ego, arrogance, who's bigger, am I bigger, are you bigger? That sort of discussion will happen. So the sun and moon had this antagonism between them, and Devi continued to look at them without blinking in order to avoid conflict, and therefore she was called Pushkara Ikshana. So that particular constellation is called Pushkara, and she was looking at it with her eyes. Devi's eyes were focused on that, and therefore she is called Pushkarekshana. Now there is a further description of the universe where they say the universe is like a petal. There are upward petals. Is a flower. There are upward petals and there are downward petals. The upward petals is the world of barbarians, and the downward petals is the world of demons and serpents. So there are basically petals. All the petals refer to people who are like us, barbarians and demons. So this is what the lotus is referred to in this particular case. But the earth, which is originating from the pericarp of that lotus, is originating there, and is therefore it is called as Pushkara. Now again in Pushkarekshana, what it means is that Devi has her eyes focused on the protection and the well-being of the earth formed in this manner, and therefore she is called Pushkarekshana. She is always having compassion towards all forms of life. That is Devi's inherent nature. Pushkara means a banyan tree. Puranas describe Vishnu at the time of great dissolution as an infant lying on a banyan leaf on the island of Pushkara. There Vishnu himself is referred to as Pushkara, and Devi at that time beheld that infant with motherly love. Therefore, because she was always looking at that infant, she is called Pushkarekshana again. So Pushkara means water. In this case, the mantra means that Devi is one who nurtures and protects the 4 types of waters. Therefore, she is called Pushkarekshana. Several meanings, several ways of interpretation of one beautiful name, Pushkarekshana. 806. Om Parasmai Jyotishe Namaha. So the name is Om Parasmai Jyotishe Namaha. The name is Param Jyotihi. When it comes to the Lalitha Sahasranamam, it is Parasmai Jyotishe Namaha. Yeah. So the name is Param Jyotihi, she who is the supreme light. Supreme light. So, in this is a very beautiful way of explaining. She's saying that Devi is the one who turns into darkness the sun with 1,000 rays. The sun has got 1,000 rays, but Devi turns the sun into darkness. How is that possible? That is possible because Devi's brilliance is that of 10,000 suns. Devi's brilliance is 10,000 suns. So we have only one sun which is giving the light to this earth and making the temperature in Dubai 45 degrees or so right now. With that one sun, Devi makes that sun into darkness. Right now, that's what we want, because we want some more comfort in our lives today. How does she do it? That is where the problem lies, because there are 10,000 suns or 1,000 suns, 10,000 suns rising all at once, and because of that, that's the brilliance from that particular sun becomes like darkness. So Devi's because of that particular light from Devi, the Devas meditate for longevity on that particular light. So the Katha Upanishad says that the sun does not shine there, nor do the moon and the stars, nor does lightning shine, much less this fire. When he shines, everything shines after him. By his light, all these shine. Which basically means that the light from Devi, the light from the Lord, is that light which is given to the sun as well. So what is the harm in praying while doing the Surya Namaskar? That is also something. In the modern day yoga perspective, they will say, no, why should we have prayer during the Surya Namaskar? There is no need for prayer. You have to pray to the sun, because that sun gets its brilliance from Devi. So therefore, who is the root of that particular brilliance which is coming from the sun? It is Devi. So when you put your hands together and say the first name, that's Om Mitraya Namaha. Om Mitraya Namaha. You are praying to the sun, saying that you are my best friend. You are my best friend. And who's our best friend in reality? Devi is our best friend. Yeah. Paramjyoti is also the name of an 8-syllabled mantra. And this mantra is actually explained in Dakshinamurti Samhita. This mantra is in Dakshinamurti Samhita. It's a Guhya mantra. It is a secretive mantra. It is not easily available. And this mantra was revealed by Lord Shiva to Devi. And the literal translation of this mantra is that this mantra is called as the supreme light. Whoever learns this mantra is not reborn again. Basically, breaks the chain of the samsara, the cycle of life and death, breaks this chain and is not reborn again. So Devi is in the form of this mantra. Om Param Jyotihi. 807. Om Parasmai Dhamne Namaha. Om Parasmai Dhamne Namaha. The name is Om. The name is Param Dhama. The name is Param Dhama. When it comes to the Lalitha Sahasranamam or the Sanskrit, it becomes Om Parasmai Dhamne Namaha. So she was the supreme dham. She is the supreme abode. So she occupies the highest state. So the Bhagavad Gita says that anyone reaching that state, the highest state, which is, if you remember, we had the discussion yesterday about heaven. Heaven is only a temporal phase. You have to go beyond heaven, which is the ultimate state that we have to aim for. So this is the supreme abode, and what the Bhagavad Gita says is that anyone reaching that state does not take birth again. When you go to heaven, you will come back. When you go to heaven, you will come back and have the next cycle of birth, death, anger, sorrow, pain, everything will you go through when you come back and take birth again. But when you go beyond heaven, in that state, you can be free from any of these issues of the cycle of samsara. So, nor does the sun shine there, nor the moon, nor fire. Having gone there, they do not return. That is my supreme abode. Who said this? Lord Krishna said this. Lord Krishna said this. In the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 15, verse 6, he says that anyone reaching that state does not take birth again, nor does the sun shine there, nor the moon, nor fire. Having gone there, they do not return. That is my supreme abode. Lord Krishna says this. So, this is the state which is the supreme abode of Vishnu. Vishnu stands for Brahman. Kurma Purana also states this. My energy is Maheshwari, Gauri, spotless, tranquil, the truth, knowledge, eternal bliss, the supreme abode. What is the supreme abode? Paramdhama. Paramdhama, the supreme abode. 808. The name is Om Paramanave Namaha. Paramanave, the name is Paramanuhu. Paramanuhu, when it comes to the Lalitha Sahasranamam, it is Om Paramanave Namaha. She who is the subtlest particle. She is the subtlest of the subtle. So statement in the Shruti is, she is subtler than the subtle. We know that. It means that Devi can be reached only with great effort. She is the grossest among the gross. She is the subtlest amongst the subtle. So, Anu also means mantra. So, the meaning, she is in the form of the most exalted mantra. That is another explanation of Om Paramanave Namaha or Paramanuhu. 809. Om Paratparaye Namaha. Paratparaye Namaha. So, Para is referring to supreme. Parat is referring to than the supreme. So what this means is that this refers to she who is the supreme, most supreme amongst the supreme ones, beyond that which is considered high. So Para is considered to be high, and Parat Para is beyond that which is considered high. So this is referring to the higher state, higher than Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. Now, Para refers to the lifespan of Brahma. The lifespan of Brahma. In the actual, what is that? Para. Yeah. This is yeah. So in this particular aspect, one day of Lord Brahma is called as a kalpa. One day of Lord Brahma is called as a kalpa, and this is 4.32 billion human years is one day for Lord Brahma, and the Para is actually 100 kalpas. 100 kalpas, which is basically 100 days of Lord Brahma. So they say that this is Para, which is the lifespan of Brahma, and Devi is Parat Para. It basically means that she is well beyond Lord Brahma's lifespan as well. That is a perspective of this name. So for one who is subtler than the subtle and grosser than the gross, there is no day or night or year. So Kaliga Purana says this particular thing. So the previous mantra talks of her being the subtler than the subtlest, and this particular one says that talks of her being Parat Para. So this is the beauty of Devi. She is not just subtler than the subtlest, she is also grosser than the grossest. 810. Om Pashahastaye Namaha. So Pasha is the noose that Devi has. She who holds a noose in her hand, Pashahasta. So this is the weapon in Devi's lower left hand. So there is earlier also we have explained this in mantra number 7, which is Raga Swarupa Pashadhyaye Namaha. So in that particular name also we have spoken about this. So she has several hands. There are several perspectives of Devi having 4 hands, 8 hands, or 1,000 arms. So it can be that she is in 4 directions, 8 directions, or the whole world, which basically means She's got complete control over the entire world, complete control or sovereignty over the entire world. 811 Pashahantri. Om Pashahantre Namaha. Pashahantre Namaha. Yeah. Pashahantre Namaha. So she who destroys, Pasha is referring to the bonds. So she is a person who destroys all bonds. So she gives release from all forms of Pasha. She is the one who cuts the bonds of time, cuts the bonds of karma, eliminating rebirth, and it is because of Devi's grace that the bonds of desire and other negative tendencies are cut. This is also another perspective of this particular name, Pashahantri. 812 Om Paramantra Vibhedini Namaha. The name is Paramantra Vibhedini. So this is again interesting way in which this name is deciphered. Devi protects all devotees from the ill effects of all evil mantras. So para is referring to enemies. So you go to Thrissur, you go to the Vishnumaya temple in Thrissur and give some money to that person and say, do a puja, do some black magic for this particular person. You don't even need to name the person. Immediately that puja will be done. But I don't know if you are aware, but the Vishnumaya temple, the original Vishnumaya temple out there, when all the pujas are done, when all the black magic and all those things are done, the original temple, the pujari out there has his lifespan reduced. So most of those pujaris do not live beyond 30 or 35. Because all you look at, their body is full of black marks and spots and all these things right across their face. Why? Because all this evil and negative tendencies come onto that particular person. Now all that you don't need to do. How? You just do Sampurna Sharanagati to Devi and she will take care of you. She will take care. You don't need to go and do all these rituals. So Devi protects her devotees from the ill effects of all evil mantras and rites used against them by adversaries. By adversaries. One great businessman out here is supposed to be giving a sack full of rice every day. He's running big supermarkets in right across the world. He gives sack full of rice every day to the temple back in the Vishnumaya temple back there. Now, para can mean king. So Devi may be harmed by the devotees may be harmed by the powers of the rulers, because if the rulers are not of the right nature, so you might end up being harmed by those rulers. So by the power of the rulers, devotees can be harmed. Devi protects them from such harm. So there is this Panchadashi mantra, which is the mantra which is the essence of Sri Vidya Upasana. So she breaks the spell of the evil mantras. That is what this name means. What is Para mantra? Mantra is there. Para mantra is the supreme mantra. Is the most exalted mantra. From that perspective, the supreme mantra, which is the exalted mantra, is the Panchadashi mantra. So Devi divided this mantra into 12, Vibhedini. So she cut it into 12 pieces and gave portions to the following 12 disciples. Who are they? Manu, Surya, Chandra, Kubera, Lopamudra, Agastya, Manmada, Agni, Nandigeshwara, Subramanya, Shiva and Durvasas. So she had the most supreme mantra and she Vibhedini, she cut it into pieces and gave it to 12 devotees. So that is another interpretation of Paramantra Vibhedini. 813 Murta. Murta basically means she has forms. So the name here is Om Murtaye Namaha. She has forms. Now the perspective is that the entire universe, when you look at the Advaita perspective, the entire universe has got the Vivarta form. What is the Vivarta form? Multitude of forms which is brought about from a Maya perspective. Yeah. So the concept of a divine form implies there is duality. If from our perspective, if we are thinking of a divine form, that means that there is duality. Now, the Akasha is perceived through sound, air is perceived through touch, fire is perceived through sight, water is through taste, earth is through smell. They are all forms of Devi. So, all this ultimately refers to Brahman. Now, there is an interesting anecdote, which is when a devotee once asked Matamritanandamayi, what was the question? If the self is all pervading, then shouldn't this life force or this prana be present even in a dead body? Even in a dead body, shouldn't that life force be there? Now, that is a very valid question. Matamritanandamayi's reply was this: just because a light bulb is burnt out or the fan stops working, we cannot conclude that the electricity is off. If the light bulb stops functioning or a fan stops working, it does not mean that the electricity is off. When you put down, you have a vishari, a handheld fan, you stop feeling the air, but the air does not cease to exist. When an inflated balloon bursts, the air that was in it does not cease to exist. In the same way, the self is everywhere. The Lord is not absent anywhere. Death is just the destruction of the upadi, the instrument, and it is not the absence of the self. So this is the explanation that Matamritanandamayi gave that particular devotee about this particular aspect, Murta. 814. Om Amurtaye Namaha. It's the exact opposite. She who has no definite form. The first one is that she has a multitude of forms. This one is she has no definite form. So what this means is she is formless. Now, one is the apparent reality and the other one is the ultimate truth. So the forms are apparent. The formless is the ultimate essence, ultimate truth. So Lord Krishna also has said this. The deluded person, the deluded persons despise me in a human form. Krishna was despised. Lord Krishna was despised. He was called a cheater. He was called so many names. So the deluded person despises me, clad in a human body, not knowing my higher nature as the Lord of all beings. So Krishna states that I am the Lord of all beings. How do you realize me? Once you dig deeper, that's when you realize me. Otherwise, there is no way you're going to realize who I am. His real essence is the cause of the whole universe, but the ignorant mistake him for an ordinary being in human form. Determining the truth behind Lord Krishna, that the only way that one can determine that is by understanding and getting to the bottom of it by intensive prayer. That's the only way that one can identify with Lord Krishna. So Brahman has two aspects: Murta, which is with form, and Amurta, which is formless. The form is the universe and the formless is the self. The form is the universe, the formless is the self. That Brahman has two forms. Again, this is from Vishnu Purana, Murta and Amurta. One is perishable and the other is imperishable. Both are in all beings. That is the beauty. Both are there in all beings, in all forms of creation. You have the perishable and the imperishable. The imperishable is the ever changeless Brahman, while the perishable is the entire universe. So that which is perceived through the senses is gross or with form, and that which is imperceptible is subtle or formless. So Devi is with form, she is the universe, and if it is formless, she is the Brahman. So that is what this name refers to. The final name for this evening, Anitya Drupta. Anitya Drupta. Anitya is basically meaning impermanent. She who is satisfied even by our perishable offerings, even by something that we give. So Devi is one who is pleased by our materialistic offerings, our pujas, our sacrifices, using perishable things. So there is one passage in the Bhagavad Gita which is patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupahartam ashnami prayadatmanaha. So what this name basically, or this shloka from the Bhagavad Gita means is that if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit or water, I will accept it. That is enough for the Lord. Whatever is offered has to be offered with complete devotion. So, in this particular case, the bottom line is that devotion is the most important aspect of worship. It is not enough if worship is superficial. Devotion. So, when everything, whatever is being done in the form of worship, in that form of worship, if bhakti is there, that is when the prayers will be heard by Devi. So even a leaf, flower or water becomes dear to Devi. Now another perspective is that Devi is not pleased with a fixed puja ritual. So the mode of worship changes with time and place, and these different modes of worship are also very happy. Devi is also very happy in this particular case. So the world is impermanent, and whatever the impermanence, Devi is always satisfied as long as there is bhakti, that devotion is there in everything that is being carried out. So humans are extremely unsatisfied. They're always chasing this anitya. They're always chasing this anitya, and Devi is is in a state of tripti. Devi is in a state of tripti. That is why this is called anitya drupta. So even in a state of impermanence, or in a state of dissatisfaction, even in such a state, Devi is extremely happy as long as there is devotion. So this brings us to the end of today's discussion. I offer these words at the lotus feet of Lalitha Tripura Sundari Devi. असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय. ओम शांति शांति शांति. ओम लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. ओम शांति शांति शांति. करचरणकृतं वा कायजं कर्मजं वा श्रवणनयनजं वा मानसं वा परादं विहितमविहितं वा सर्वमेतत्क्षमस्व. जय जय करुणाब्दे श्री महादेव शंभो. जय जय करुणाब्दे श्री महादेव शंभो. जय जय करुणाब्दे श्री महादेव शंभो. ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम.